Hello all. In this video we will look at the Oracle complexity result for the Frank-Wolf or conditional gradient algorithm for smooth and convex functions. So let us look at the result for smooth and convex case. The result is that for L-smooth and convex functions and for compact calligraphic X, the Oracle complexity to ensure that the optimality gap is less than epsilon is given by t equal to order LD square by epsilon. For the step size, eta t equal to 2 by t plus 1. Observe two interesting points here. First, the complexity for the smooth convex case is at par with the complexity in the gradient descent, at least in terms of L and epsilon. In contrast to gradient descent, where the multiplicand was b, which was the square distance between initial x1 and the optimal x star, here we have a much bigger quantity d square, which is the biggest square distance between any two points in calligraphic X. Indeed, the bound does not depend on initial b or bf at all. Further, this is the first algorithm that we are analyzing where the step size is not a constant but dependent on t. In this case, it turns out that we cannot use a constant that depends only on the problem parameters. Let us look at the proof. The first step of the proof is simple and will allow us to get the one-step inequality easily. We begin with applying the quadratic upper bound on f at xt and xt plus 1 so as to obtain f of xt plus 1 minus f of xt less than equal to gradient f of xt inner product with xt plus 1 minus xt plus L by 2 norm square of xt plus 1 minus xt. Recall that the update equation was xt plus 1 equal to 1 minus eta t xt plus eta t yt, which can be rewritten as xt plus 1 minus xt equal to eta t into yt minus xt. Substituting this, we obtain that the right hand side is equal to eta t into inner product gradient f of xt comma yt minus xt plus L by 2 eta t square norm square of yt minus xt. Then we can use the compactness assumption on the second term so as to bound yt minus xt norm square with d square, which yields that the right hand side is less than equal to eta t times inner product gradient f of xt yt minus xt plus L by 2 eta t square d square. Now we need to use the definition of yt. Remember that yt is a vector such that its inner product with the gradient f of xt is minimum. In other words, yt is defined such that inner product of gradient f of xt comma yt is less than equal to gradient f of xt comma u for any u in calligraphic X. The bound can be used in the equation we have so far with u equal to x star so as to obtain f of xt plus 1 minus f of xt is less than equal to eta t times gradient of f of xt inner product with x star minus xt plus L by 2 eta t square d square. Next, the second term can be bounded using the first order convexity condition, which says that f of x star minus f of xt is greater than equal to inner product of gradient f of xt comma x star minus xt. So we obtain the bound that the right hand side is less than equal to eta t times f of x star minus f of xt plus L by 2 eta t square d square. So rearranging, the overall bound can be written as f of xt plus 1 minus f of x star less than equal to 1 minus eta t times f of xt minus f of x star plus L by 2 eta t square d square. So here we have subtracted f of x star from both sides. This is the required one-step inequality. We now need to solve this and obtain the bound on the optimality gap. Let us denote the optimality gap by delta t. So delta t is equal to f of xt minus f of x star. So our recursion can be written as delta t plus 1 less than equal to 1 minus eta t into delta t plus L by 2 into eta t square d square. First thing we can observe here is that the constant step size will not work to see this, set eta t equal to eta, and then you can see that you get delta t plus 1 less than equal to 1 minus eta into delta t plus ld square by 2 into eta square. So if eta is a constant, the second positive term would accumulate over time. Observe that even if the first term was 0, the second term is a constant and non-zero quantity. So there would be no easy way to improve on the bound on delta t in that case. So this implies that constant step size will not work here. That is why in the original paper also a t dependent step size of 2 by t plus 1 was proposed, and we will also consider that. When analyzing optimization algorithms, you might encounter different kinds of recursions. Since all of these correspond to algorithms that were proposed at different points of time, their proofs will sometimes be widely different, so that it will be hard to relate them with each other. For Frank-Wolf in particular, there are many ways to analyze the recursion. An inductive proof for this can be found in the literature and is quite short, but very non-intuitive because it requires you to know the result a priori. Instead of that, however, we will see a general approach that can be used to analyze any such t-dependent step size scenario, and it always works in the same way for most recursive relationships. The approach can be particularly useful when we look at accelerated algorithms. Let us introduce a general approach to solve any kind of recursion. Suppose that you have that delta t plus 1 is less than equal to at times delta t plus bt for some quantities at and bt. Now we cannot obviously use telescopic sum here because the term on the right, delta t, is multiplied by at, which will not allow us to cancel with the term that would appear in another equation for another t on the left. To solve it, a general approach is that we rearrange it so that the telescopic sum can be used. Imagine, for instance, that we could arrange it in such a way so as for it to look like omega t plus 1 delta t plus 1 less than equal to omega t into delta t plus ct, where the omega t is some sequence. In this case, you can see the telescopic sum can be applied since the quantity omega t delta t appears in two such equations. One on the right hand side, as in the equation which is given for iteration t, but also on the left hand side for iteration t minus 1. When we sum all these equations, all these terms that appear on the left hand side and the right hand side will cancel, and only the first and last term will remain, so that the sum will be given by omega of capital T plus 1 times delta of capital T plus 1 less than equal to omega 1 delta 1 plus summation over t equal to 1 to capital T of ct. This is the main idea of the approach. So whenever you see a recursion that cannot directly be solved using telescopic sum, try to multiply it with certain quantities so as to make it into the form that allows you to form the telescopic sum. Let us then solve the recursion with the step size eta t equal to 2 over t plus 1. So in this case, we have that delta t plus 1 less than equal to 1 minus 2 over t plus 1 into delta t plus 2 ld square by t plus 1 square, which can be written as t minus 1 by t plus 1 into delta t plus 2 ld square by t plus 1 square. Here observe interestingly that for t equal to 1, the first term will become 0. So delta 2 will not depend on delta 1. So this is the reason the performance of the algorithm did not depend on initialization. The step size is selected so that eta 1 is equal to 1, and the effect of delta 1 has been removed. Now to make it into the required form, you need to do some manipulations for which some trial and error is needed. In this case, what we can do is multiply and divide the first term with t. Then the bound can be written as t into t minus 1 divided by t plus 1 into t delta t plus 2 ld square by t plus 1 square. Now we multiply both sides of the equation by t into t plus 1. We get the required form, which is that t into t plus 1 into delta t plus 1 less than equal to t minus 1 into t into delta t plus 2ld square into t by t plus 1. Here the term multiplying delta t plus 1 is the omega t plus 1, which is given by t into t plus 1, and the term multiplying delta t is omega t. It is easy to see that if you define omega t as t into t minus 1, then omega t plus 1 will indeed be t into t plus 1. So this is the only way telescopic sum would be possible, since omega t plus 1 into delta t plus 1 appears on the left in this equation, which is written for the tth iteration, but will appear on the right in the equation for t plus 1th iteration. Now we can carry out the telescopic sum, and all the delta dependent terms will cancel except the first and the last term. And in this case, observe that the first term was already 0 because t equal to 1, eta 1 was equal to 1. So the first term will cancel automatically. Therefore, t minus 1 into t into delta capital T less than equal to 0 plus 2ld square summation over t plus 1. Now we are ready to get the final oracle complexity result. So far we have the result that t into t minus 1 into delta capital T is less than equal to 2ld square summation over t equal to 1 to t minus 1 t by t plus 1. Now we have a bound on delta t which we can simplify so that it looks better. Let us take the first term so that it can be written as the right hand side is less than equal to 2ld square half plus summation over t equal to 2 to t minus 1 t by t plus 1. Now each of the terms within the summation can be bounded by 1 so that we get less than equal to 2ld square half plus summation from 2 to t minus 1 of 1s. So dividing both sides by t into t minus 1, we obtain that delta t is less than equal to 2ld square into 2t minus 5 by 2t into t minus 1. So this expression is too complicated for us. Let us further bound it as 2ld square by t plus 1. So that this is the final bound that we have. Equating this to epsilon, we would get the required oracle complexity result of t equal to order ld square by epsilon. Just a remark that you can slightly improve the bound if you can approximate the finite summation more accurately. For instance, if you use the formula that summation of t from 1 to capital T minus 1 of t by t minus 1 is approximately equal to t minus log t minus half, then you would get a slightly better bound, since log and the constant terms are subtracting from t. In general, when t is large, these terms are not important. So this concludes the proof and the oracle complexity. Once you understand the approach, you should be able to try out other step sizes as well. In many cases where the constant step size does not work, it might also be possible to use a very small epsilon dependent step size instead. This is also possible in this case. To see, let us write down the recursion with eta instead of eta t, where eta depends on epsilon. Delta t plus 1 less than equal to 1 minus eta into delta t plus eta square into ld square by 2. We can apply this equation recursively so as to get that delta t plus 1 less than equal to 1 minus eta raised to the power t into delta 1 plus eta square ld square by 2 into 1 plus 1 minus eta and so on till 1 minus eta raised to the power t minus 1. We can sum up the geometric term on the right so as to get right hand side is equal to 1 minus eta raised to the power t delta 1 plus L by 2 eta square d square into 1 minus eta raised to the power t divided by 1 minus eta. Then we can bound the first term delta 1 with bf and drop the negative terms so as to get the bound that this is less than equal to 1 minus eta raised to the power t into bf plus eta ld square by 2. Here, if eta was large, we would have seen linear convergence initially, but the optimality gap would have stopped decreasing after it was less than the second term, which is eta LD square by 2. So to calculate the oracle complexity from here and to choose eta, recall that we want to ensure that the optimality gap is less than equal to epsilon. This implies that eta should be small. In fact, eta should be order epsilon, because we ultimately want the second term to be less than equal to epsilon. Likewise, the first term should also be less than equal to epsilon. So one ad hoc way of making this calculation is to assume that the first and the last terms become equal at the last iteration, when the optimality gap just goes below epsilon. Both the terms are making equal contribution in that case, so that eta LD square by 2 is equal to epsilon by 2, and 1 minus eta raised to the power t into BF is equal to epsilon by 2. So after this, we just need to solve these two equations with respect to eta and t, and solving with respect to eta, we obtain that eta equal to epsilon divided by LD square, which requires us to know epsilon in advance. And then substituting this back and solving for t, we obtain 1 over minus log of 1 minus epsilon LD square into log of 2BF by epsilon, which is approximately equal to LD square by epsilon into log of 2BF by epsilon. So as compared to the diminishing step size, where the performance was order 1 over epsilon, here it is slightly worse at order log 1 over epsilon divided by epsilon. But the good thing is that the log term depends on BF. So if BF is small, then we might be better off. So that is all for this video. We have been able to derive the oracle complexity for the Frank-Wolf algorithm, and have shown that it is order 1 over epsilon for smooth and convex case, matching the oracle complexity for projected gradient descent. In the next video, we will consider the general smooth functions.